Dice. You love them, you hate them. They can be good, they can be bad. They can be somewhere in between. But they're an integral part of Dungeons & Dragons, the game that we also dearly love.
Any role-playing game.
Any role-playing game. Well, most of them involve
games.
dice in some capacity. You know, you've got all kinds of different sizes, all different shapes, all different colors, and we all probably have way more than we should. But when we use dice, one of the big questions is, you know, are the rolls honest? Are we being honest with our rolls? Now, if you go back in time on the Old Warlock, you'll see a much younger looking Alexander make a video talking about keeping your dice balanced. And we're going to talk about something very similar to that today, which is...
should you be fudging your die rolls as a DM or a game master?
Yes. Or a player. We can talk about that too.
Well, we could actually.
Yeah.
We could. We had one of our viewers make a suggestion. Kobold Helper. Kobold Helper said that something that he has come across on a lot of boards and discussion groups and things like that was, should a dungeon master or game master fudge dice rolls to help a story continue in the direction that they think it should continue? Or should a dice roll be fudged in order to keep characters alive?
Yes.
And
this is a big question. This is a big debate amongst the discussion between editions. You know, we've had some comments about the differences between editions and the differences in play style that go along with each edition. So today, we're going to dive deep into the honesty of D&D and whether or not you should lie about your dice rolls.
Yes. So let's dive in. Woohoo!
So I say we just start off pretty quickly and easily. Do you fudge your dice rolls?
You're asking me?
Yes.
I have fudged dice rolls in the past, but it is not something that I do with any regularity. And in fact, I don't do it at all anymore. I do not do it. And here's why.
Let's hear it why.
Back in the day, I mean, I used to run really long campaigns. And the story, I'm very storyline based. And we'll be having another video that discusses some of those things in a few weeks. But I'm very storyline based. And back in the day, I used to occasionally fudge a die roll if it was so out of the blue that it completely derailed a campaign that had been running for months. And if that die roll had not been fudged by one or two numbers, it would have, like I say, completely derailed the campaign and taken all the effort of the players. And the players had put a lot of work into making sure that they had planned it so well and they had played so well that I hated the idea of making that campaign basically either disappear, fail, or end up not being something that the players had put so much time and effort into. I have since, and this was decades ago, I have since come around to the understanding, as far as I'm concerned, that those dice rolls are an integral part of that story. And if you have something crazy happen that derails a campaign or derails the actions of the player characters, that's something that the player characters have just got to overcome. And that can be even more interesting than what they may have come up with to deal with the scenario that I've confronted them with.
I mean, Gandalf fell off the bridge, right? You know, these things happen. It's there's not always a perfect step-by-step course of events. Ideally, yes, and it's definitely possible that you could have that happen, but I think that all of us know, if you've ever played really any role-playing game for a certain amount of time, for an extended period of time, you've had experiences where you may have been as prepared as you can possibly be, as ready. You've got the plan. You've got everybody you might need. Everyone's well equipped, But that doesn't matter because something just...
all of your associated player characters, everybody who's in your group is prepared themselves. They're completely ready, and...
it just doesn't work out.
Right.
And that, that happens in life, too. Not to get philosophical, but it is just something, that's the way it goes sometimes. And I think that that's the beauty of having the randomness to it.
Right.
Is that you can prepare perfectly well for everything, but that doesn't guarantee your success in anything that you do.
Well, and I think that it was funny because when I started doing this, when I made that switch into, no, I'm not fudging the dice rolls. I'm not giving you something to move forward. My players actually adopted, and you've probably heard it, my players adopted a saying where dice say no, you gotta go. That was from them. And I remember the first time that this happened, I gave them, the players were trying to get across a chasm inside of a dungeon. And what they ended up doing was they found a ladder, kind of a rickety old ladder. And they put it across this chasm, and they did everything they could to make sure that ladder was completely secure, that there was no way that they could fall off of that ladder. I mean, they spent like an hour trying to figure out ways to tie this thing down and anchor it so that it wouldn't go. I said, you guys are ready. I said, I want you to roll a percent because there is a 2% chance that ladder is going to fail. They rolled a 1. There was no choice. The ladder went, and they were the two players who were involved. I want to say it was John and Bill. They were both really disappointed because they lost really good characters because they were both on the ladder at the time that it happened. And they both just shrugged their shoulders, and I think it was Bill that said, dice say no, you gotta go. And so that has become kind of the mantra of my players. And I'll take it one step further. In that, if you start to fudge dice rolls, unless you are an excellent actor, your players are going to know.
Yeah.
And if your players start to understand that threat of death to the characters isn't real, or it might be mitigated just because you feel sorry for them, suddenly the fear of losing that character is gone. You start making sloppier decisions, and you lose that edge.
Yeah, and we've talked about that edge and that experience of death, again, with a much younger looking Alexander, many videos ago it's our most popular video. We actually very rarely comment about that video because it's very divisive.
And it's very old.
Yeah, it's very old. But having that as part of your gaming experience, we think improves the overall experience of the game. Because if you had known... Like when you said, I'll go back to Lord of the Rings because that's the most famous fantasy example you can ever have. But going through Lord of the Rings, as soon as they kill Boromir, you're like, oh, God. Or as soon as they kill off Gandalf, you think Gandalf is dead. It's like, oh, no. None of these people are actually safe. And that improves your experience consuming the adventure that's taking place. Because all of the decisions that they make suddenly matter. And all of the characters matter. And everything that they're doing is heightened in its importance.
And its intensity.
Yeah, and its intensity. So if you have that danger, you're going to appreciate your characters more, and you're going to appreciate the experience that you go through and the adventure you go on that much more. Because if there's no danger, then, it's like Superman is the worst superhero. That's a whole nother debate. But Superman is the worst superhero because he can never be killed. So if you don't have that danger, it makes things worse for everybody.
When you reflect on, as a group, and I do this, I relive campaigns and scenarios that I played in as a character 30 years ago. We still go back over those. We reminisce about what happened there. We don't reminisce about the ones that were not deadly, that were not dangerous. The ones that we reminisce about are the ones where we barely got our characters out of a given situation, knowing that the dungeon master we were playing for would have killed us in a heartbeat. You overcame something. And those are the characters that you remembered, those characters that overcame, or maybe they died later, but at that time you remember that situation that character was in. And when you reminisce, you talk about those dangerous situations where you just barely managed to pull something off. That's what makes the game better.
So don't fudge your dice rolls as a DM. That's our
opinion.
That's our opinion.
Yeah.
As a player, I will tell you, do not fudge your dice rolls, because that is unbelievably annoying. when people do that.
Yeah.
It's just that I think reaches a point of dishonesty, because when you're the DM, you can, if you just want to help the characters have a better experience, you don't want to kill a character that they love or something like that, you're trying to further the adventure, that's one thing, because in a way it's altruistic in that you're looking out for the experiences of your characters. But if you're a player doing it,
different sort.
That's totally self-serving. You just don't want bad things to happen, or you're trying to outdo something. It's just that,
or outdo somebody.
Exactly. And that's part of the game. If you don't make the to hit roll, then you don't hit. And that's just kind of what it comes down to. That's how it's structured. And if you break out of that structure of really the most essential part of the rules, then you're not really even playing the game anymore.
Right.
You're just talking.
Right. You're dismantling the framework for the reality that has been created by the dungeon master and the other players in your world. You're deciding yourself that the rules don't apply to me, which is very selfish.
Yeah.
And I will go back. Let me go back just real quick to fudging dice rolls. If I'm playing with some 10-year-olds or 12-year-olds, yeah, I'm going to fudge.
Well, you would do it all the time when
you guys were little.
Zachary were little,
you bet.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to die. I wanted you to experience the fun of it. But now, it's not going to happen. I mean, you're kind of sweating. Us going back and play. Some of you may know from previous videos that I'm changing. I'm having a dynamic change in my world for various reasons, and it's got him nervous because it could kill a character that he's been playing since he was 12 years old.
Yeah, I just said earlier, it's Schrodinger's world that we go back into. Is my character alive or is he not? We don't know what's going to happen until we actually go play.
I'm going to jump ahead to what you were talking about as a player. You never fudge your dice rolls, and again, I'll throw this out one more time. Unless you're a really, really, really good actor, the people at your table are going to know. And
everyone has played with somebody who does this. And historically, you can use the cleared dice. That can help you get away with it. Different things like that.
Wait, how do you know that?
Because we've talked about it before. But there are ways to go about it.
Right.
But and I think that everyone has probably done it at some point in time, even if it's just with character creation.
I will say I have never done it.
You never have?
I've been tempted.
Yeah.
I have been very tempted, but I have never done it.
When I was younger, a couple of times with character creation, I'm like, I'll give myself one more point.
Right.
Something like that.
You're looking at it going, if I have a 16 strength, I get
exactly.
a +1.
It's really tempting for what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But even that, it's like...
But then your character's false.
Yeah, it's not true. You're not...
Right.
No one can control the things... those aspects of themselves really in real life, so why should you be able to control a lot of those aspects of yourself in the game?
And why would you want to?
Yeah.
And again, people will know at your table. They may not acknowledge it. The dungeon master may not acknowledge it either, but they will know.
Yeah.
And
they're talking to each other about it behind your back.
When you're not there.
If you do it.
Right. Well, and I, as a dungeon master, when I have known, I've had friends who have fudged their die rolls, and as a dungeon master, trust me, you pay a price for it. I will not say anything about it, but it's like, okay, if you want to fudge the dice rolls in your favor, I'm going to fudge the dice rolls against you.
Bad guy's favor.
So I'm not helping the players in that case, but I think fudging them for punishment of people who are basically
already
cheating
breaking the rules,
that I will fudge dice rolls for. It's like, that lightning bolt that you just got hit by, those ones, no, those are fives. I mean, there are ways that a dungeon master will step in and make sure that, look, if you want to play in this campaign that I've set up, this world that I have created for you, you have to play it honestly or else.
Yeah, it's no different than cheating in any other game.
Exactly.
And
that's
the fact
exactly
that
right.
this game is structured differently
right.
doesn't mean that it's any less, annoying. We all have friends who cheat at Monopoly, and it's really obnoxious when they do.
Right.
And it ruins everybody's experience because they're taking money from the bank when nobody's looking.
Yeah, well, I'll take that 20 or I'll take a 500. Mm-hmm. Oh, whoops,
Even if it benefits the party that your character is in, it's still cheating, and it screws up the experience for everybody. So, don't do it.
And for anybody who is heavily into the role-playing of their character, if they see somebody else in the party not doing the same thing or cheating, that actually makes it even more offensive because you're doing everything you can to have an immersive experience, and somebody else is like, well, no, in your immersive experience, that doesn't matter to me. I just am here to power my characters, so I don't care about immersion. I just want to be better than everybody else.
Yes. So,
anyway,
final verdict
from us.
Do not do it. We think it's wrong in all capacities.
It's detrimental to your game.
I can understand why you do, and it's perhaps more excusable than it is for players. Players, if you do it, stop that. Nobody likes it.
But as a dungeon master, who has done this for a long time, I think that it actually tears your game down when you fudge dice rolls.
Yeah.
And I think that you can have more excitement and you can have more opportunities for immersive storytelling if you go with the dice, whatever they are. So
it can also be really funny when people
it can
get
be
bad dice rolls.
hysterical.
We have one member of our usual party
Who just sucks at rolling dice.
Billy, who is absolutely horrendous at rolling dice.
Yeah.
For something that's completely luck-based.
He has the worst luck I've ever seen. And
Yeah.
I mean, he's an excellent player.
Yeah, very good.
But rolling the dice, it's like whenever there comes like a group roll for somebody to deal with something, he's like, oh, no, somebody else take it.
If we need a low number, he is universally the first choice.
Right.
Because it's all part of the experience. The good and the bad. That's part of the fun. So
that's all I've got. That's all I wanted to say.
Don't fudge your dice rolls, or we're gonna be mad.
Yeah, we'll be disappointed.
We'll be very disappointed in you. We won't be angry. We'll just be disappointed.
We'll be disappointed.
Yeah. All right.
Anything else about fudging dice rolls?
No. Go check out that really old video talking about balancing your dice, because I thought that was a pretty good video at the time. Granted, that was like 4 years ago.
More than that, I think. Well, yeah, it's about 4 years.
It was about 4 years ago. It's still fun though.
You probably won't recognize it.
No, I look pretty different.
Anyway.
Beardless.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm Alex.
I'm Jim.
Keep your sword on free.
Bye-bye.
I'm backwards. See ya.
Bye.